calm and ride the wave in style. Our starting lane assignments for race number 68, the Men's Collegiate Varsity Invitational Grand Final, is Stanford University in lane 1. Washington will be pulling out of lane 2. It will be Cal in lane 3. Harvard in lane 4. Out there in lane 5, it'll be Princeton. And on the far outside, Brown University.
Lane 1, Stanford. Lane 2, Washington.
Lane 3 and 2 inches. Lane 4 and 2 inches.
Lane 5, Princeton. Lane 6, Brown. 5 minutes.
5 minutes to start. 5 minutes.
Lane 4 in 1 foot.
The crew under pressure in the grand final of the Copley Cup will be the crew in lane 2, the University of Washington. And I say they'll be under pressure because they're currently ranked number 1 in the nation. But Stanford in lane 1 and Berkeley in lane 3, who are ranked respectively number 5 and number 3 in the nation, will be looking to overtake them in the rankings based on the result of this race.
Coming up, the Copley Cup Grand Final. Checking lane assignments. Stanford in 1, Washington in lane 2. Cal is rowing from lane 3. Harvard in lane 4. Out in lane 5, Princeton University. And fellow Ivy Leaguer Brown in lane number 6.
In 1 foot. Lane 1 in 1 foot. I need you to move it in a full 1 foot, please. Lane 4 in 6 inches. Lane 6 out 3 inches. Lane 1 in 2 inches.
3 minutes.
3 minutes to start.
Lane 4 in 6 inches. Lane 5. Lane 5, wave if you can hear me. Thank you. I need you to move it in 1 foot, lane 5.
All these crews are vastly experienced. There'll be butterflies in the stomach,
Lane 4
but nothing that they
6
haven't
inches.
dealt with before. All these boats have many years experience racing, both as juniors and as collegiate athletes. So what we're going to see here is the best of the best of collegiate rowing in the United States.
Welcome to the starting line of event 68,
Lane 5.
the Men's Copley Cup, the Men's Collegiate Varsity Invitational.
2 minutes.
This is the grand final. We are 2 minutes from the start. Several of the crews took the opportunity to use their lanes to warm up in. Rode up to about the 250-meter mark, turned around, came back in their lanes.
Further, another 2 inches.
They've now attached themselves to the stake boats. The aligner is going through the final alignment process. We're talking within inches, out 1 inch, in 1 inch, to get these bow balls
Lane 2
perfectly aligned. The aligner is the only one that can do that from the side of the course. The starter is behind the crews. When he raises the flag, all crews can see the flag for the start. The aligner is the one that calls the false starts and gets them all aligned.
Lane 5 in 2 inches.
We anticipate a barn burner of a race.
Lane 3 out 1 inch.
Stanford had a fantastic race yesterday, defeating California in their heat. In doing so, boosting their confidence level. But with the skill of all these athletes, the knowledge from their coaches, this is going to be one of the greatest races that we've seen in a very long time.
Stanford, Washington,
The starter has started to pull the crews.
Harvard, Princeton, Brown,
It is very still. The wind has transferred over to the port bow. We have a start of the men's Copley Cup. All boats away from their stake boats cleanly. Just exploding out of the first 500. All boats level as across the 100-meter breakage area. Jumping out by about half a deck, lane 2, the University of Washington over Stanford and Cal. Cal matching Washington, maintaining a high rate. Not settling yet, still sprinting off the start. Cal 1 seat over Washington as it crossed the 250-meter mark, still after it, still high. Now shifting down, now settling down with a 3-seat advantage over lane 2, the University of Washington. Stanford in lane 1, and Brown in lane 6, and Harvard are all level for that second place position. Princeton is 4 seats back at this point. Cal is extremely aggressive at this point of the race. They're still about 2 clicks above everybody else in the field. They will be the first to cross the 500-meter mark as they extend their lead. California across the 500-meter mark by 6 seats, 7 seats over lane 1. Stanford, Washington, Harvard, Brown level, and then outside to Princeton is 6 seats down. It's too close to call for second, but clearly at this point it is the University of California, Berkeley extended their lead about a tiller over the field, and still extraordinarily aggressive on the stroke rating. As we approach the 750-meter mark, it will be California by 1 length over Stanford, which is bow number in front of Harvard and Washington and Brown. Princeton, 8 seats back. That's your call for the 750.
We've just had one of the most dead even starts that we've seen in our Crew Classic so far, and lane assignments quickly. Stanford battling for the lead is in lane number 1. University of Washington is in lane 2. Cal very aggressively out and on the lead, currently in lane 3. Harvard in lane 4, Princeton lane 5, and Brown University in lane number 6.
Well, it remains to be seen whether Cal, with their very aggressive start, leaping out to a nearly 1-length boat lead in the first 750 meters of this race, have they paid too high a price too early in the race? Can they build on this as they come through the 1,000 and move into the third 500, or will the other crews find another gear and start to take it back to them? As things stand at the moment, it's Cal, but the crews inside them from Washington and Stanford have overlap. They're in contact, as does the crew from Harvard on the far outside. Falling back just a little bit Princeton, but don't overlook Brown on the outside. They're still in touch too and could spring a surprise in lane 6. The tide's only just started to go out. The conditions are even across the race course. There's a slight cross-tail wind, so this is perfect conditions for fast times and fast racing.
With about 750 meters to go, University of California, Berkeley, Cal is on the lead, and boy, they have taken off on an aggressive manner, and like Charles said, it'll be interesting to see if their strategy will hold on for them. They're being challenged right now a little bit on the outside by Harvard, and Washington on the inside fallen back just a bit, as has Stanford. All the way to the outside, Brown University has eclipsed the crew from Princeton University, but right now Cal is on the lead. On the outside shoulder, Harvard has begun to sniff the lead.
But don't overlook Washington. The Huskies were still in touch with Cal, and I can see the Huskies are making their move now. They've really upped the rating, approaching the 500 to go. They realize that if they don't get it done now, they're not going to get it done at all. And Harvard have responded in kind, and Cal are sitting there looking to their left and their right, or rather their coxswain is, and Cal are responding and beefing up their finishes and pushing this boat away.
This is California on the lead, but they're going to have to watch out on the outside. Harvard moving along briskly. On the inside is Washington. Along the shoreline is Stanford. All the way on the outside, beginning to mount a challenge, is Brown University, and some open water back to Princeton. This is California.
And here come Washington. They're really pushing it. Stanford haven't given up the ghost either. They're really pushing hard in lane 1. Cal in lane 3, holding Harvard.
It is California still on the lead on the outside. Harvard slamming it away, and Washington beginning to get some momentum on the move. They are opening up some water to Stanford. Brown on the outside and Princeton trailing. This is Cal. Cal being challenged by both Harvard and Washington on either side of them. Harvard and Washington stroke for stroke, with Cal trying to hold them off. They currently have a 5-seat lead. It is Washington on the move. Harvard may have spent it too soon. It is California still holding off Washington along the shoreline with less than 50 meters to go. It is California, the apparent winner. It seems that Washington has held off Harvard on a late challenge, and then to the outside we go to Princeton, check that, Harvard, then to the far outside Brown University and Princeton. An outstanding finish to our Copley Cup Grand Final. The apparent yet unofficial winner is the University of California, followed by Washington holding off a late charge by Harvard, and then comes the check that Stanford along the shoreline is in 4th. Outside is Brown, and then Princeton.
Well, in that race we saw the Cal Bears gain sweet revenge for previous year's upsets by Stanford. Stanford won the heat yesterday, handed it to Cal a little bit, and a wounded bear is a dangerous bear, and Cal Berkeley reasserted their traditional dominance in no uncertain form in this race. They were ranked number 3 coming into this race, but they've upset the Huskies of Washington, who are ranked number 1, and we can perhaps expect to see a change in the men's collegiate rankings as a result of this race. Not really. Not really, is the answer to that one. Not really is the answer to that one.
Coming up next will be event 69, the Women's Cup Final. And we'll get to the lane assignment shortly. Sharp Metropolitan Medical Campus salutes the fine athletes who are competing in today's events, just as these athletes are committed to their